morning, ladies and gentlemen of the media, and thank you for attending to our call at such short notice. As a preamble to this statement, I will crave your indulgence to have you listen to a very brief period of the over 2-hour tapes that have come to our notice. Please, if we may have the tape. It's important we listen to the tape because it sets the background for what we are going to talk about this afternoon. You can hear the chairman of the National Democratic Congress, Mr. Ofosu Ampofo, speaking.
The party was aware that LDP will always resort to violence when it goes by election. The scale and the combination of state security forces against the party has never happened in the history of the country. I have gone to my elections. You have most of you. It is always either an MPP group against NDC group slugging it out, and then the police showing a little bias here and there. But for you to see the level of deployment, the sheer numbers, the firepower, and of course the fact that these were not trained security personnel. We picked intelligence very late the previous night when they went and recruited people from the organizer came last to sign for where we were training on the terrorists. Here, Jay Blanson and others, the kind of weapon that we distributed. What happened in Abuja? The people they picked them there. So we pick all these things. And we have some of our colleagues and people there. And the plan they were hatching, and the extent to which they wanted to go, you can take. For me, it was the most unfortunate thing that happened. Because when our people are being mown down and they are being killed, the leadership has given a certain direction. You need to. There was pressure on me from some angles that I should change the process. I said, I will never change the process. I spoke with a lot of people and said, this decision can't have been in the interest of the community. And here, I have calls from senior police officers who said, look, we salute you. And that this is the time that we are going to build the real faces. The police are not happy because they have been trained. They have a reputation to protect. You are not to bring people on the streets. You put police uniform on them and you are giving the police back pay. So there are several police people who are not happy. And you see, it is also shifting the support of the police back to us. Because you know in 2016, the police were against us. So that is the other aspect is the EC chair. You see, we must vehemently oppose to it. That when people has started reflecting on the whole process, there are people who come here and initially we agree with. When we went to the office, oh, this one, it is you, it is NPP, NDC, your usual tax. And then I said, look, but I said, no, you know what was. And I want to assure you that as long as I be the leader of the party, my approach to elections and security has completely changed for us. And we need to marshal all the human and material resources. Yesterday I was speaking with him and I said that look, we have to get to a driver, probably one of our retired security people who can still drive and at the same time give you protection. When it comes to this game, we are better than them. And we will not, the civil society organization and religious organizations, especially the Peace Council chair. For the first time, I will endorse the sorted.
You have heard for yourself Today is indeed a watershed day for democracy in Ghana. The expectation was that we wake up this morning to congratulations. Congratulations from the MPP to former President John Dramani Mahama for winning the NDC presidential primary, and then the NDC leadership for managing to hold an electoral congress in the teeth of numerous challenges. As you hear on the tape, they had other things in mind. It has turned into a bitter-sweet day. Bitter that confirmation has come from the current NDC leadership itself of plans to actively weaponize. When you weaponize an organization, it means you put it in a state where you can use it to cause mayhem and create violence and disorder, overturn the state. They are weaponizing their political party and to put it on a path, literally, to becoming an internal terrorist organization. You heard them. A coordinated plan of kidnappings, physical and verbal attacks, and infiltration of the security services. Indeed, all the while the NDC leadership were telling us they don't trust the police, they were in cahoots, according to them, with the police leadership. This is what they are telling us. They said on the outside they didn't trust the police. On the inside, they were in cahoots with the police leadership. This is what they are telling us. So, Gidi Mahama intends to lead a violent extremist organization in his quest to become leader of this nation. For what purpose and to what end? Fortunately for us, the day still remains a bit sweet, because by the almighty grace of God, blessed by the very first line or the first stanza of our national anthem, the plot has been exposed. God bless our homeland, Ghana, and make our nation great and strong. Yes, our nation will remain great and strong, because there's a responsible leadership in the MPP willing to put every political advantage on the line, every single political advantage, and do the right thing for the security, growth, and prosperity of this country. We are here to serve the people of Ghana with all the humility, integrity at our command. Many, including the political leadership of the MPP, were baffled by the NDC attitude to the events of Ayawaso West Wuogon. You will recall that they insisted on some apparently pointless arguments with the EC, including court cases about the date of the election and the authenticity of the voter register, right through to threatening to pull out of the election if their demands were not met. And it is always their demands. Their version of events is the only version. You heard on the tape, Uzo Ampofo telling the world their version of events. If he had all this knowledge and intelligence, why did he not inform the security services and the police leadership, whom he assures us on the tape he was dealing with? So, what did they do? They ended up escalating the Labawaleshe incident into a full-blown international situation. Non-existent deaths were alleged, and a deliberate picture of violence put out. The infamous boot for boot and superiority in the use of violent statements were made by the former president, now candidate of the NDC. And he proceeded, Gidi Mahama proceeded to lead boot for boot walks, whilst his general secretary, the current leadership of the NDC, organized a demonstration in support of boot for boot, supposedly against violence in Ayawaso, something that they had created out of their own imaginations. Worst of all, the NDC presidential candidate had a briefing for some members of the diplomatic community, where he falsely tried to paint a picture of insecurity and violence in the country. It can be deduced from the way the boot for boot policy was announced from faraway Volta region that presidential aspirant Mahama then must have known and been part of the orchestrated effort to create the false appearance of insecurity in the country. Greedy Mahama ought to have condemned and helped to contain the violence rather than hyping it up. That he chose to escalate it all the way to the international community with the aid of false videos shows that Greedy Mahama was indeed behind the move to destabilize the country with false violence allegations, and that, at the end of the day, he was likely to be the beneficiary, since he wanted the international community to come in and sympathize with him. And indeed, we are proudly told, as the tape rolls out further, that they are happy that the EU, they have managed to confuse and convince the EU, and that they believe the EU will pull out of financing the 2020 elections in support, of course, of government's own efforts. That is the extent to which Greedy Mahama and the current leadership of the NDC, led by the pliant chairman, will go. Ladies and gentlemen, why this greedy and violent lust for power at all cost? Why sacrifice the nation's honor and dignity for political power? This greedy lust for power can only be to create, loot, and share the resources of this dear country of ours. Of course, the MPP cannot sit by and allow these events to go without comment, particularly since from the beginning we kept telling you that the events were being deliberately orchestrated, which the NDC denied. Yet, the very hawks the NDC denied were the ones who shot and killed a person in cold blood, may his soul rest in peace, right in the midst of an executive meeting in the Ashanti Regional Capital. The chairman was there, the general secretary was there. They are still in denial. The President of the Republic, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, chose the path of national stability, security, and peace. He set up a commission to put the matter of politically related violence to bed once and for all. And he has gone further to demand that the party, the MPP, of which he is a part and which gave birth to his government, should extend an invitation to the NDC to root out politically related corruption once and for all. Not only have the NDC refused to participate in the proceedings of the commission, they have also gone ahead to establish preconditions for the meeting that every single Ghanaian is demanding. They would rather not disband the Hawks, Azoka boys, and all the other boys they have, because those boys are an integral part of the party, and they have told us as much. The revelations on the tapes have become public knowledge, and it explains the entire attitude of the NDC. Don't forget that the national chairman of the NDC, Mr. Ofosu Ampofo, is a serving elder of a much respected Christian congregation in this country, and he is the one revealing the trend of lies and violence that the NDC intends to unleash on this country in the coming few days. And of course, as a prelude to 2020, and possibly according to them, within the 2020 election. I just want to re-emphasize, on the tapes, the national chairman of the NDC is heard planning to integrate Tagri into the NDC party fabric, subvert police and security service leadership, target people for assassination. The NDC chairman is setting up the NDC party to target people for assassination in this country of ours, and to kidnap people, and generally to threaten the lives of senior members of the MPP and civil society at large. He is heard endorsing a campaign of lies, insults, and threats against the immediate past presiding bishop of the Methodist Church, and now chairman of the Peace Council. a serving elder of a recognized Christian congregation in this country, head of a political party, is heard telling his party that he now endorses a campaign of calumny and lies against a past presiding bishop of the Methodist Church and chairman of the Peace Council. He didn't end there. He also threatened the head of the Electoral Commission with the same thing, lies and threats to a person. And of course, as I've already stated, the President of the Republic received his fair share of the threats and lies. To cut a long story short, these revelations have broken public trust. Trust is at the heart of electoral politics and leadership. The deliberate insincerity and mendaciousness of the current NDC leadership, including the newly elected presidential candidate who initiated Boot for Boot, calls into question whether they are fit for purpose. Indeed, in modern governance, a person ought to be fit for purpose. Are the current NDC leadership, including Greedy Mahama, fit for the purpose of leading the NDC into the electoral contest of 2020? The purpose for a public call to leadership is a duty demanding utmost integrity and trust. The preamble to the 1992 Constitution demands that leadership preserve the stability of our nation. And I'll crave your indulgence to read the preamble. It's a very short one. It says, "We, the people of Ghana, in exercise of our natural and inalienable right to establish a framework of governance which shall secure for ourselves and posterity the blessings of liberty, equality of opportunity, and prosperity, in a spirit of friendship and peace with all peoples of the world, and in solemn declaration and affirmation of our commitment to our national, we the people of Ghana, our national commitment to the following principles," very important: freedom, justice, probity, and accountability. Assassination and kidnapping is not freedom, justice, probity, and accountability. The principle that all powers of government spring from the sovereign will of the people. The sovereign will of the people is not to murder and kidnap your political opponents. The principle of universal adult sovereignty. Indeed, everybody is entitled to vote. It's their attitude of intimidating the leadership of the EC and civil society going to lead to a situation where everybody feels entitled to vote. The rule of law. Listen to the chairman of the major political party planning to subvert the rule of law with murders, threats of assassination, and kidnapping. Above all, the protection and preservation of fundamental human rights and freedoms, unity and stability of our nation. I dare say, and arguably so, that until we get to the bottom of this matter, this nation is not stable. Until we get to the bottom of this matter, this nation is not safe. Until we get to the bottom of this matter, Ofosu Ampofo and his ilk, including Greedy Mahama, don't intend to allow peace to reign in our country so that the rule of law will bring prosperity to all of us as we so desire. They have found themselves out. The leadership of the NDC have found themselves out. They have exposed themselves to the nation. Ayawaso West Wuogon was built on nothing. The whole brouhaha about Ayawaso West Wuogon was built on nothing. And today, the deliberate, orchestrated lies and crafted events have crumbled into nothing. This is the worst case scenario of the good, the bad, and the ugly. What has happened is bad and ugly. Right-thinking members of the NDC ought to move fast and distance themselves from this shameful leadership. Those in the NDC who believe in an ideology must rise and demand resignations. All those culpable must account to the NDC first and to the nation, so that they restore their moral right to participate in the decent politics of this country. As for we in the MPP, we will continue to espouse the rule of law as a basic pillar of our democracy. We shall follow the example of Prince Abudani I, our President of the Republic of Ghana, who has demonstrated distinguished leadership and supreme political will in meeting the real challenges of our time. And these are two major challenges. Corruption is an issue. Faced by that, the president has put enormous independent prosecutorial power in the hands of a public servant of known integrity. Nobody can manipulate him. That is the person the president has chosen to put the future of corruption fighting in. And that person is a demonstration of real political will on the part of our president. Politically related violence is an issue. The president did not duck and hide. He accepted that the buck stops on his table. What did he do? He set up a public commission of inquiry which has grilled all the senior security chiefs of this country. His purpose: to bring politically related violence since independence in this country to an end once and for all, so that in future we can have debate instead of blows. The president is decisive. He's an intergenerational politician. His policy vision transcends elections. For elections, the president believes that going forward, ideas rather than violence and bullets should hold sway. Ladies and gentlemen, in lieu of a better time and occasion, we take the liberty to congratulate the newly elected leader of the NDC. We ask Gidi Mahama to reconsider his political philosophy of boot for boot and take clear and public steps to rid his party of the thuggery being embedded into its fabric. Ghana is hungry for progress, and he must assume the humility to divorce himself and his party from the appearance of deliberate and orchestrated lies and the use of politically related violence for his benefit. In conclusion, ladies and gentlemen, we ask all civil society organizations and citizens of this country to take advantage of the open and bold leadership offered by the President of the Republic on the matter of politically related violence. Please participate freely and frankly in the work of the Commission and join a healthy, lively policy dialogue towards election 2020. But lest we forget, to the extent that the party has exposed itself, the NDC is still not an alternative to decent politics. We believe the nation is going forward. The NDC better wake up, listen, and follow. Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you, Director of Communication. We will take 3 questions. Haka. Yeah.
Good morning. I want to join what was said. I've got a number of questions to ask, but let me start from the last one. You said that the NDC is not an alternative to a decent. I forgot what you used, but the question is that the president asked that you invite the NDC to discuss modalities, how you can disband party relations. With what you just said, can one therefore conclude that the NPP wouldn't extend that invitation because you not to have trust in them? And then 2, have we to verify that indeed the audio we are listening to is that of the chairman of the NDC?
The leadership of the NPP, as we speak, has scheduled a meeting on the matter of the invitation, because the leadership have scheduled their meeting and this matter has happened before that meeting. I believe the leadership of the NPP will remain progressive. I believe the leadership of the NPP will insist on the right thing being done. It is not for the NPP to pull back. It is for the NDC to accept that they are wrong to accept that violence is not good for this country, and to accept to disband and remove from the fabric of the NDC the thuggery that they intend to unleash on this country. We do not believe threats of assassination and kidnapping belong in the dialogue of this country going forward. And we will not pull back. We will still want to have dialogue and ensure that we clean up what we have in the country. Yes. This is over a 2-hour tape. If you listen to the entire recording, you will find other supposedly very responsible voices on that tape. The ramifications are enormous. Enormous. People on that tape representing the political party in other responsible spheres of this government. And it is a matter that we must take on the chest. It is a matter that the NDC must come out and accept mea culpa and go out there and restore their right to participate at that moral level in the politics of this country.
So the chairman should resign.
Thank you.
I believe the chairman should resign.
I would like to know, since you got hold of this complex, have you tended it to the police investigation department for them to commence investigation to pick up the necessary characters that were involved, so that something can prevail in our political era? By jumping into the media to ascertain, I think you don't have any proof that it is the voice of the chairman of the opposition that shall be involved.
We are working with the police.
My brother.
My name is Melvin from Daily Guide. From the perspective of your party, since the Ayawaso West shooting, how will you assess the image of the Ghana Police Service and their national security?
That is the very interesting thing we are faced with. You heard the chairman say that elements in the police, he was in touch with elements in the police. You heard him say that the police are coming to their side. You heard him say in 2016 that there were issues of trust with the police. In other words, the chairman is deliberately aware that the NDC intends to manipulate the police services for political ends. All that the chairman was alluding to, at no point did it appear as if the NDC was helpless before the police. At no point. He rather demonstrated a certain confidence in his relationships with, according to him, senior officers. Senior. He used the word senior, not junior, not just police. He said senior officers of the police, and that those senior officers are unhappy and want to come to their side. So he's telling us that he's preparing to unleash assassination, kidnappings, and other nefarious activities which probably they have already started and which are creating the impression of insecurity, and that in doing so, they will still have the ability to be in bed with the police. And I believe the leadership of the MPP don't believe the police can be that cruel to the people of this country. The police are a state organization. The police are here to serve the nation, and I have confidence that the police will step up, particularly in the light of the commission that has been set up. We expect interesting recommendations and other issues to bring our society together around enhancing the capacity and ability of our security services in general, to protect the state. The police must protect you, the police must protect me. The police must protect the NDC, and the police must protect the MPP. The police must protect civil society, and the police must protect everybody within the territorial area of Ghana. And indeed, it goes beyond Ghana because they are members of Interpol. The police protect us beyond our borders. We will not accept politicization of the police. We will not accept underhand infiltration of the police services. And we ask the police leadership to be strong and to serve the state.
Okay, no more questions. Thank you.